Texas Governor Greg Abbott announcing today that El Paso will be the site of an infusion wing at the temporary hospital set up at the convention center. Less than an hour ago, ABC 7's Eric Elkin spoke to the governor about the announcement and other topics related to the COVID-19 pandemic response.
Governor Abbott, today you announced the creation of an antibody treatment wing at the El Paso Convention Center. What kind of immediate difference will this make?
Listen, this will make a difference between life and death for people in El Paso. We worked with the federal government to get a special allocation of the Eli Lilly antibody therapeutic drug. 1,000 doses have already been sent to El Paso. It is being administered to patients in El Paso today. This is the type of drug therapy that allows a person to overcome COVID. And with this special allocation added to the allocation already received by El Paso, there will be countless people in El Paso who will be able to stay out of the hospital and get well more quickly.
Governor, what's your message to the 1,000 plus El Paso families who have lost a loved one to this virus, many of whom have expressed frustration with the politics, particularly what we recently saw in the disconnect between the city, the county, and the state?
It's important that we all work together because we all have a role to play, and that is, in part, it includes things like the medicines that were delivered today. In part, it involves all of the medical staffers and surging operations that were sent. But just as important is that everyone has a role to play in making sure that we slow the spread of COVID-19. It is exactly what we did this past summer in July when we saw the spike at that time, and everybody came together at that time, and they followed those safe rules that we have now learned how to perfect, and that is to make sure that you maintain your distance from others. When you go outside, make sure that you wear a mask, and if at all possible, especially if you're elderly, stay home and don't put yourself in a situation where you can contract COVID-19. But the good news is this, and that is now we are finally at the moment in time when we do have medicines available to us. And in addition to these medicines, we also have vaccines that we will be capable of delivering to El Paso in just a couple of weeks.
You mentioned working together. We've now been in this current surge here in El Paso for more than a month. Hundreds of bodies are in mobile morgues due to a backlog. Why at this time more than ever is there not a direct line of communication between you and the county judge?
You know, I personally have spoken to the county judge. My chief of staff has spoken to the county judge, and we've been clear about exactly what he needs to do to make sure that he takes the action necessary to slow the spread of COVID-19 in El Paso County. For example, I made clear to him that he needed to start enforcing the protocols that already existed and the orders that were issued long ago. And he told me at the time he didn't feel like he was capable of enforcing those rules as they were issued. And so then we followed up with my chief of staff explaining to him the necessity to do this. And then on top of that, we also sent out additional officers from TABC to make sure the state of Texas was doing everything we can. What we also urged the judge to do was to use the CARES Act funding that had already been provided to him to make sure that he was able to go out and get additional personnel to enforce the rules that exist. Other jurisdictions have used that CARES Act funding to make sure that the rules are enforced. That is exactly what the county judge needs to continue to do as we work our way through this response to COVID-19, as we bring on board these medications as well as the vaccines that will begin to both cure and heal people in El Paso.
The Attorney General, Ken Paxton, in response to the legal victory, referred to the county judge as a tyrant. Are you okay with that type of language during this time and what we're seeing here in El Paso?
We need to make sure we're all working together. We're working at the state level to make sure we save lives. We're working to work deliberatively to expand and get things like this very unique opportunity to provide extra allocation of these therapies to people in El Paso in a greater volume than elsewhere. We need to work together by making sure that local officials enforce the protocols that I put in place months ago. And we need to work together to make sure we all do our part to slow the spread, because we are in the 9th inning now, this process. We need just to continue to follow the best practices. We need patients who may have COVID to go to the El Paso Convention and Performing Arts Center, where we have set up an alternative care site where they can get the therapy from Eli Lilly that will be able to cure them from COVID-19.
Governor Greg Abbott, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you all. Be safe and happy Thanksgiving.